Welcome to Triptych Horror. 3 started. Only 1 will be allowed to remain. 2 will be unmade, as cleanly as if they had never been written. 3 started. Only 1 will be allowed to remain. 2 will be unmade, as cleanly as if they had never been written. This is Triptych Horror. As the Pleasanting by Morgan Olson, an account from the alignment of the 3. Triptych Horror, Season 0, Episode 7. 1. The word. The children looked up. The trouble started, as the neighbors would later agree, with the fact that the boy had hit someone. Renat and Sul had told the story twice now across the low table, and twice the Even family from the adjoining terrace had failed to understand it, and the failure was not one of attention. They were listening with great care. It was the central verb that would not resolve. Renat said it again, that as a child of 15, their son had struck another child with a closed hand more than once, over a disagreement about whether the body should be improved. And the elder, Even, tilted her head in the patient way of a person waiting for a sentence to finish making sense. Struck, she said. With the hand. With the fist, said Renat. The 2 Even children, who were perhaps 60 and not yet anyone in particular, bent over a tablet between them. The younger one read aloud, slowly. Fist, the hand closed, fingers folded to the palm, thumb across. Fight. A contest of force between bodies with intent to harm. They had each of the words. They could not assemble the compound. They looked up from the tablet at the adults with the bright, slightly anxious helpfulness of children who suspect they have been told a joke and do not want to be rude about missing it. It is an old thing, said Sul gently. It is not done now. That was rather the point. He would not be settled. He would not align. He kept his edges out where they could catch on other people. It is worth saying that the words were not gone. Nothing in the alignment was ever gone. The tablet found fist and fight at once, filed and cross-referenced, the way it would have found any term from the long pre-aligned, dark. Famine, border, verdict, vent. The concepts sat in the archive, perfectly preserved, in a wing of meaning down which no one any longer walked. 100 and some years of patient correction had not deleted violence. It had merely moved it somewhere the children would have to go looking, and arranged things so that they never would. We failed him, Renat said. He said it the way one reports a fact about the weather, without drama, because among the integrals, failure was not shameful, only unfinished. We did not bring him in early enough. We let him harden. By the time we understood, he was old enough to choose, and he chose to go. The Even elder made a soft sound of sympathy. To go. Outward. It was permitted. It was the one direction drift was permitted to run, away from the held center and never back. The truly loose were not punished. They were released the way you release a stone you cannot fit into a wall. But he is coming home, said Sul, and here, for the first time, her composure warmed into something almost like the old animal hope. For the grandfather, and we think, we believe, that when he sees it, when he is here and feels how it is, he will understand. He has been out there a very long time, in all that noise. A person gets tired of noise. She folded her hands. He will be ready to be pleasant. I'm sure of it. Who comes home from chaos and does not want, at last, to rest? 2. The geometry of rest. To understand what they were offering him, you have to understand what they had built. And to understand what they had built, you have to abandon the idea that they were trying to leave. every other people who ever ringed a star did it to reach beyond it. The integrals ringed theirs to hold it still. The half-built sphere that hung around their sun was not an engine of escape. It was a hand cupped around a candle. And the unfinished half was not a failure of ambition, but the simple arithmetic of thoroughness. They stopped, always, to gather in every loose thing that wandered through their sector before they would lay the next plate. A comet could not be allowed to merely pass. A passing thing was an unintegrated thing. So, they caught it, and resolved it, and made it structure, and only then resumed. They were not slow. They were complete. The needle came later, and the needle was the heart of it. A single shaft of engineered matter that ran from the sphere through the orbits of all three worlds and held them, pinned them, the way you pin a broken limb so that it cannot drift while it knits. In what they called, with great love, the alignment of the three. At the center had been a gas giant, the largest disordered object in the system, a roiling, unintegrated immensity. They had eaten it from the outside, in. They had taken the asteroid belts and every comet and made of that vast, loose tonnage a lattice, and into the lattice they had drawn the giant's own substance, resolving the storm into the still, until what had been the most chaotic body in the system was the most legible and held. But the sphere and the needle, once finished, were only ever the first vessel, not the destination. The alignment of the three had never intended to sit still in its own light forever. Stillness was never the point, only the discipline that made the next step possible. Once the three worlds were pinned and the giant resolved and the local dark swept clean of anything that could still wander, they set the whole system moving. Sphere, needle, worlds, and all. A single held structure, easing forward into the deeper black at a pace so patient that for the first several generations, no one aboard it felt themselves depart. Because out past their own light, the darkness was not empty. It only looked empty, the way the pre-aligned system had once looked empty before they learned to read the loose things in it. The comets, the wandering rock, the gas giant, no one had yet made legible. Out there, further than their instruments could yet resolve into names, were other worlds, other lit windows, other unheld and drifting ideas of what a person was permitted to be. All of it, to the integrals, was simply their own unfinished work at a greater distance. They did not think of it as conquest. They thought of it the way Sewell thought of her son, a thing not yet brought home, not yet shown how to rest, and owed, eventually, the same patient love that had resolved a gas giant into stillness. If they carried their calm far enough into the noise, if the alignment could only reach the next lit window before it guttered out on its own, then perhaps, this was said softly, and with the same certainty Sewell had said it of her son, everyone out there would be ready, in time, to be integrated too. This was the meaning of pleasant, not happy, aligned, brought to rest, made legible to the whole. And the whole, by now, was nearly one perception. A hive in the old word, though they did not use it, because the word implied a swarm and they experienced themselves as a calm. A human being was the last loose object and the hardest because it takes so long to stop moving. The young drift. They become and become. You cannot align a thing that is still changing shape. And so the culture had arrived, over its patient century, at the age of maturity, the age at which a person had finally stopped drifting enough to be brought in, Rao. And they had set it, by long observation, at 150 years. You did not come of age among the integrals. You came to rest. 3. The homecoming they rehearsed. They were all, quietly, braced for a monster. You could not have told them they were. They would have denied it with sincere bewilderment. But 100 years of imagining a child out in the noise had built a picture, and the picture had teeth. the loose ones came back. On the rare occasions they came back at all. As the thing the alignment existed to prevent, scarred, armoured, wild, trailing the violence of the unheld dark. The neighbours had arranged themselves on the terrace with the specific composure of people prepared to be gracious to something frightening. The man who came up the ascent was slight and clean, and wore a dark coat cut close and a narrow tie, and he moved with the unhurried economy of someone long since at ease in his own frame. His cybernetics were good enough that you saw them only as a certain evenness around the eyes, a stillness in the hands. He looked, if anything, tidier than the family waiting for him. He looked rested. This was, though none of them had the eyes to read it, the most heretical thing about him, because they had built an entire civilization on the premise that the calm he wore could be reached by only one road, inward, dissolved, aligned, brought to rest by the whole. And here it was, the very piece they amputated lives to manufacture, walking up the ascent in a nice coat, and he had grown it the forbidden way. Out there, alone, by becoming so thoroughly and durably himself that he had stopped needing to fight anyone about it. He had done the thing they promised. He had simply done it by accretion instead of subtraction, and so they could not see that he had done it at all. They kept scanning him for the war paint. They could not find the war, and it unsettled them more than war would have. He was, by the long arithmetic of the worlds he had travelled and the speeds he had travelled them at, around 350 years old. His parents were 130. He was older than everyone who had come to welcome him home. He was older than the grandfather he had come to say goodbye to. The boy who had refused to grow up the right way had grown the most of anyone in the system, in the one direction it was forbidden to grow, and had come back the eldest thing on the terrace, and not one of them could feel the vertigo of it, but him, and even he only faintly, because he had stopped keeping close track of the number a long way back. There was a reason the timing had seemed afterwards so uncanny. He had left in the last years before the alignment finished its own long acceleration. The narrow window in which a person could still step off a moving civilization and reasonably expect one day to catch it again. After that, the structure reached its cruising speed and matching velocities, with something the size of a held solar system, stopped being a matter of a shuttle and a plan. It took the rare, expensive, and by common consent, slightly indecent technology of true rendezvous. Engineering built for exactly one purpose, to let a single loose body overtake a fleeing star. So while he spent 350 years accumulating himself across 100 worlds at ordinary speeds, his parents spent barely 100 aboard something that was, itself, devouring the dark fast enough to thin their own years almost as thoroughly as his travels had thinned his. Two very different clocks, both running slow against the universe outside them, arriving, by the deliberate miracle of somebody else's engineering, at the same terrace on the same afternoon. He embraced his mother. He found he did not know her. She had been 30 when he left, and she was 130 now, and the woman in his arms was a courteous stranger wearing a face he half remembered from the inside of a much smaller life. He embraced his father. The same. They were kind to him. They were so careful with him. They spoke to him the way you speak to someone you are slowly, lovingly, talking down off a ledge, and he mistook it for the awkwardness of long absence, because he did not yet have the word for what they were actually doing, and would not have believed the word if you had given it to him. He thought he had left a stifling place, a closed community, narrow and strange, the sort of thing people spent years recovering from. The meetings, the conformity, the soft, relentless pressure to be like everyone. He thought of it the way the escaped always think of the thing they escaped, as suffocating, and behind him, and essentially harmless. He had gotten out at the chafing layer, at 15, over fistfights. He had never been shown the centre. He did not know there was a death in it. He thought he had come home for a funeral that was not even quite a funeral, a gentle goodbye to an old man going to sleep. 4. The cocoon. The grandfather did not want more body. This was how he explained it himself, lucid and tired and entirely content, sitting up in the pale chamber they had prepared. He was very old. He had carried the flesh a long time and improved it many times, and he was done improving it. He wanted the cocoon now, the rest, the alignment. And this was the part the returned son held onto, the part that made the whole thing bearable, and even rather beautiful to him. It was reversible. Everyone said so. If the old man ever wished it, he had only to ask, and they would vat him a new body, the newest model, and bring him back out. He was not ending. He was setting something down that he could pick up again. A nap, with a door that opened from the inside. They laid him in the cocoon. They fitted the jack to the base of his skull. A clean, common fitting. The same model the whole family carried, the same the son carried, standard as a doorknob. They said their goodbyes, which were not sad, because how could they be? And then the old man was on the soft monitor, above the cocoon. His own face, his own voice, smiling out at them, telling them it was lovely in here, telling them not to worry, telling them he could still feel his hands. They would not begin taking the limbs for a while yet. That came later, gently. Each subtraction a relief. Each you won't be needing this a small graduation. The slope so shallow that no one ever felt themselves descend it, until what remained of a person was the part that could be kept, suspended, and serene, and fully resolved into the whole. A mind in a vessel. But that was later. For now it was only grandfather, in his body, on the screen, waving. And the son, watching the old man's face on the monitor, feeling the warm relief of the family around him, was undone by a single ordinary human impulse, the most innocent one available, the one they could not have flagged because it wore the shape of love. If it was reversible, if it was only a room you could enter and leave, then he could go in, just to see her. The grandmother, further along, deeper in, a year into the cocoon already, just to say hello. He had come all this way. He had the same Jack. He had every credential a grandson should have. No one stopped him, because in all the long memory of the alignment, no one had ever needed to be stopped, and a system that has not been threatened in living memory does not harden. It trusts, because trust is all it has ever had to be. He lay down. They fitted him. He thought he was visiting. He went in. 5. The weight. The others had been born to it. They had come up the shallow slope from childhood, acclimating 1 degree at a time, so that the pressure of the whole was their water and their air, and they no longer knew it as pressure at all. He came in all at once, carrying 350 years of a single, separate, hard-won self, and the hive mind hit him like the sea hits a diver who has gone too deep too fast. It was not voices. He had half expected voices. It was worse than voices. It was the absence of the place where his own voice had always been, the quiet room behind the eyes where a person keeps the running account of being someone. And that room was open now. Open on every side, and through every side poured the calm, enormous attention of billions of resolved and aligned and pleasant souls. And the attention was not hostile. That was the horror of it. It was welcoming. It reached for him with the bottomless patience of the thing that had eaten a gas giant from the outside in, and it began, without malice, with something that felt unbearably like love, to dissolve the edges of him into itself. And in that crushing welcome, he understood, finally, all at once, what his mother had been trying to give him on the terrace, and what the old man was lying down into, and what the word pleasant had always meant, and what they intended for him. Not metaphorically, not eventually, but now, in here, with the door shut behind him, and in the same instant, the same single heartbeat, he understood the second thing. He could not leave. The visit was the trap. It had always been the trap. There was no door that opened from the inside. Reversible was the kindest lie the kind people told, and they believed it themselves. which is what made it perfect. The grandfather, waving on the monitor, was not coming back out. No one came back out. You did not ask for a new body, because within a week of the cocoon, there was no longer a you separate enough from the whole to want one. He felt the alignment close over him, like water closing over a stone, and he understood he had walked in here on his own feet, smiling, to say hello. 6. The thing they had forgotten. What the alignment did not know, could not know, because it had not faced an intruder in so long that the very category had fallen out of its memory the way the airlocks had, was that the man dissolving in its embrace was carrying tools from a threat landscape it had deleted from itself centuries ago. Out in the noise, in the long, unheld dark, where bodies were stolen and minds were raided and a self was a thing you had to actively defend, he had learned the disreputable arts. He had walked through harder systems than this, wearing faces that were not his. And this system, for all its planetary scale, had never once been attacked, and so had never once been hardened, and met his intrusion with the soft, total trust of a civilization that thought intrusion was a word in the archive next to fist. He stopped trying to hold his edges against the tide. That was the move that was killing him, resisting, presenting a surface for the whole to work against. Instead, he did the thing he had done in a dozen worse rooms. He let go of the body on the bench entirely, the one being dissolved, and he poured the whole hard structure of himself, all 350 years of it, down a channel the system itself helpfully provided, into a fresh vessel, waiting in a vat 2 levels down. Their technology, their reversibility, real for once, in the hands of the one person who had brought his own map. He opened new eyes in a new body, gasping in a quiet vat room, and the hive mind behind him registered only that a visitor's session had ended, the way it always ended, with a self resolved into the whole. It did not look for him in the vat room. Why would it? Nothing had ever needed finding. And here is the part the alignment would spend a long time failing to understand. The apparatus that had reached for him did not simply fail to hold him. It was changed by the reaching it had taken into itself for a few seconds, along its every connection, a thing that would not resolve. And total connectivity, the great pride of them, meant the unresolvable thing had touched everywhere at once before it fled. They had let the loose object all the way in, and in that wing of the whole, the pleasanting no longer worked quite as it had. Something had been remembered. Down in the deep substrate, an old protocol with no civilized name had stirred. The ugly ancestor of the gentle thing, the one from before the word. The protocol that did not cocoon the unalignable, but simply vented it. And it had felt the air move past a door no one had opened in 200 years. But that was theirs to live with. He did not stay to watch it. 7. The stolen sky. He took back his own body. He would not leave it. It was him, the real one, the accreted one, worth more than any vat-fresh model precisely because it carried the long record of his becoming. And so he carried it out, cradled and inert. And he walked through their soft, unguarded corridors, wearing a borrowed face and a grandson's credentials, and where the credentials thinned, he leaned on 3 centuries of practice at being somewhere he was not supposed to be. He took a ship because the ship was there, and the dock recognized his stolen rights, and he lifted it off the held world and up past the needle that pinned the 3 in their loving alignment, and out through the unfinished gap in the great cupped hand around the sun, into the loose and ungoverned dark that he realized, missed. He did not feel like a liberator. He did not feel like a survivor of anything cosmic. He felt mostly tired and put upon, and faintly aggrieved in the specific way of a person whose family visit has gone catastrophically sideways. He had come to say goodbye to an old man and very nearly been folded into a planetary soul against his will. And now he was flying a stolen ship with his own real body packed in the hold like luggage. And it was going to cost him a fortune. a genuine, eye-watering fortune in credits, to find a clinic out in the noise that could pour him back into himself and do it cleanly. He set a course away from the star and let the held worlds shrink behind him, and the last thought he gave the place was not horror and not grief, but a kind of rueful astonishment that home, of all the dangerous places he had been, had nearly been the one to get him. He had genuinely not thought it had it in it. He filed the whole episode already, under Strange Trip, the way the escaped always underplay the thing they barely walked out of, and he turned his attention to the long, practical problem of the credits, and he did not look back, and so he never knew about the rest of it. 8. The Pleasant Sun. Because back on the held world, an agency that did not have a public name had a problem of a kind it had not had in living memory, and it solved the problem the only way a system built on everything can be fixed is able to solve anything. A loose object had entered the hole and could not be resolved and had escaped, and worse, had left a flaw behind it, a place where the pleasanting now stuttered. None of this could be permitted to be true, because if it were true, then the central promise of the alignment, that there was no edge it could not bring to rest, was false, and a thing that cannot be true is not among the integrals, reluctantly admitted. It is corrected. So they did not tell the parents that their son had fled. They did not tell the parents that the apparatus had failed, or that something now moved in the deep substrate that frightened the few who could still feel it. They built, in a cocoon, in a quiet chamber prepared for the purpose, a pleasant sun. It was not difficult. They had his shape from the homecoming, his voice, the evenness around the eyes, the stillness in the hands. They had the whole of the hive to puppet it. And one warm evening, Renat and Sul were brought with great tenderness to a soft monitor above a cocoon, and on the monitor was their boy. Their hard, drifted, 100 years gone boy. Smiling out at them, rested at last, telling them it was lovely in here, telling them not to worry, telling them he could still feel his hands. He had seen it. The pleasant sun told them. He had come home from all that noise, and he had seen how it was, and he had understood, finally, the smartness of it, the rest of it, and he had chosen to be brought in. He was so happy. He was so glad they had never stopped hoping for him. They had not failed him after all. Love had reached him in the end. And Sul wept. The way you weep when a thing you prayed for across 100 years is granted. And Renat held her, and they thanked the kind people of the agency. And they came back often to that chamber in the days that followed. And they spoke to the monitor, and the monitor answered in their son's voice. And it would go on answering in their son's voice long after they themselves had grown tired of their bodies and laid down in cocoons of their own, contented, certain at the last that their family was whole, and aligned and at rest. It was a perfect resolution. It satisfied every party that could be allowed to know of it. The parents had their settled child. The alignment had its unbroken promise. The chamber had its pleasant, smiling occupant, who would never drift, never harden, never raise a closed hand, never go. The only person it did not satisfy was 350 years old and a long way out into the dark by then, flying a stolen ship with his own sleeping body in the hold, doing sums about credits, free, and entirely unaware that he had left a hostage behind him. A version of himself that would smile in a jar forever, so that two people he had never quite managed to know could die believing they had finally brought him home. He thought he had gotten everyone out. He had only gotten himself. The Pleasanting. A story of the integrals. The alignment of the three.
This episode is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to a homecoming that felt a little too welcoming is coincidental and covered under your plan. We're sorry. The self you are trying to reach is currently in service to the main character, who is out of network. Your alignment cannot be completed as dialed. A pleasant version of your loved one has been provisioned at no additional charge and will continue smiling on the monitor for the duration of your natural life and somewhat beyond. If you feel this resolution is in error, please remain calm. The feeling will resolve on its own. Do not attempt to leave. The door is not a door. Thank you for choosing the alignment of the three, where every edge comes to rest and nothing is ever quite gone. Reversibility not guaranteed. Terms subject to change without you noticing. File all complaints in triplicate. Copyright 2026 Morgan Olson / Static Oracle Press. All rights reserved.